Jason Dumas from KRON is with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Jason, what's going on, man? Thanks for hopping in.
Of course. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Well, we're doing great, and we certainly, you grabbed our attention earlier today on the great website known as X. You got a couple of things out there with regard to Draymond and Moses Moody, but mainly, let's start with the Moses Moody one, and I'll paraphrase a little bit, but you said that Mike Dunleavy Jr. has been asked if there's an organizational plan for the role of Moses Moody. You may not be able to answer this, but the first thing that went through my head is, well, who's asking? Like, did that come from an agent, or do you think that it came from other teams who are poking around?
Yeah, that's the obvious question, and I did try to be discreet intentionally. Obviously, you know the nature of my job and trying to protect people I talk to, but I can say, in fact, that the people around Moses, they're frustrated with just the lack of having a role and the lack of consistency. He's in the rotation one day, he's out of the rotation one day. He seems like, this is for lack of a better term, he almost seems like the sacrificial lamb, so to speak. Whenever there's just a log jam, he's going to be the guy that falls out. And from what I understand and what I've been told, Moses loves the Bay Area and he loves playing for the Warriors, but I think it's pretty obvious. Obvious might not be the right word because Moses has such a good temperament, but I think it's understandable. That's the word I'm looking for. It's understandable that someone in his position with a lot of talent, young, would be frustrated and would want a clear path to playing time, whether it be here or somewhere else.
I like the use of logjam and clearer path because it leads to my question, Jason, which is, what do the Warriors do? Because Steve Kerr's come on our show repeatedly talking about how they have 12 guys for 10 spots or 9 spots. So you get the trade deadline 5 weeks from today. What do the Warriors do to help clear up this logjam?
That's a great question. Steve has been pretty transparent with his intentions. I mean, a couple, like when it became clear that Gary Payton II was coming back pretty soon before he went down 2 nights ago, Steve said to us in that Bill King media room, hey, we've had conversations with Moses, and, it was hard conversations. We told him that he's probably going to fall out the rotation, and, Moses is the ultimate pro. He knows how to stay ready, etc. So I don't think Steve has been sending mixed signals or anything, and I think we all have eyes and we see what the problem is. They have about 6 guys who are kind of similar in talent levels and production, and you can only play so many guys. But with that problem is the fact that it's hard for guys to get in a rhythm. It seems like Moses, for him to stick and get rotation minutes consistently, he needs to be really, really good. But how can you be really, really good when it's hard, when you don't know when your next minutes are coming? So, in my opinion, what the Warriors need to do is just kind of clear out that logjam via a trade. I said it on air for 95.7 last week when I was in with Guru. I think they have 4 tradable pieces that can get you a realistic return, and that would be, in no particular order, Draymond Green, Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga. And with this development with Moses Moody, I guess you can put Moses Moody in that too. I just don't know what kind of return you get from Moses Moody. He hasn't played enough to really show people what he can do. So I doubt a team would offer many assets for him. But those prior 4 guys that I listed, those are probably the 4 realistic trade pieces. I don't add Clay in there because I don't think they would move Clay. I just don't think that's realistic. And obviously, same thing with Steph, of course, and they shouldn't. And Looney, I don't think they would get much back. And GP2, he's hurt too much. What are you really going to get him? And he's one of those guys who's probably more valuable to the Warriors than he is other teams. So if those 4 guys really, JK, Wiggs, Draymond, and CP3, who could probably net them an asset who can help them win games. So it would probably be, if it's me, I'm I'm looking at all four of those guys. I'm kind of gauging the interest around the league. If you kind of pair 2 or 3 of them together to see what you can get back. But that's the kind of predicament that I see the Warriors in.
You know, Jason, what's interesting in listening to all that, my mind goes directly to Steph Curry. Everything revolves around him. And so I don't know if it's realistic. We've turned this into, Steve Kerr doesn't like playing young players. Think of what's happened here. Moses Moody's now upset. Jonathan Kuminga has been upset. Last year, Jordan Poole wanted to start. Wiseman, maybe he was hurt too much to even get into this conversation. But the bottom line is, as long as Steph Curry is here and the Warriors want to win right now, it's going to be very, very difficult for young players to consistently get what they want, don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's weird because you look at their situation and you want to say they have this winning culture, and obviously they have. They've won 4 championships in the last decade or so. They have championship players, and Steve Kerr, his resume speaks for itself. But there's just been so many distractions that have kind of, you know, gone against that culture. And now it just seems like at this point in time, the organization, and I guess, you know, I mean, this is my first time covering a dynasty at the end of it, but so I don't know if this is unique to the Warriors, but it really feels like just we are seeing that point in time where it's a dynasty transitioning into its next phase, you know, the post-dynasty phase, and this is what happens. You get long-tenured guys who have huge voices, huge influence over the organization, who are at the end of their tenure with the organization, and it causes for some very uncomfortable conversations, some very bold moves. I don't envy the position Mike Dunleavy's in. Obviously, he's getting paid pretty handsomely to do this job, but it's still, he's going to have to make some big decisions, and it makes you wonder, or it makes you think, hey, maybe Bob Myers left because these are just big, uncomfortable decisions that he doesn't want to make. They're too exhausting for him, and you would understand why, given his relationships with some of these people involved. So it just feels like that point in time in the dynasty where you have to decide, who do we appease to? What do we want to do? How are we going to shift this culture? And, you know, the deadline is coming up next month, and there'll be decisions that have to be made between now and then.
5 weeks from today, in fact, and it's going to be fascinating to see what rumors and trial balloons get floated in terms of who might be on the move from the Warriors. You mentioned Klay Thompson as not being a likely trade piece, and I think you're right in terms of them not wanting to part with him now, but what about his long-term future with the Golden State Warriors? And do you think that Mike Dunleavy and company will look at a year like this where they haven't played great and likely won't make a lot of noise? Will they hold on to the big three and try to catch lightning in a bottle again next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to answer with the big three. So I think the way they're attacking Klay's contract and his future, I think they're doing the same thing with him that they did with Draymond. They say, hey, play out your contract. Let your play dictate your market. And then we will come to the table together after the season, and based on your play and the market that you command, I know Draymond, people floated him around to other teams just to kind of see what the market value was. And, you know, it was all collaborative with the Warriors. There was never a sense that Draymond was leaving, but they were kind of fair. They're like, let's not get emotional and let emotion get involved. Play out your contract. We will pay you the market value, and we hope to keep you. I think they're playing that same game with Klay. Once they couldn't come to an agreement before the season, they're going to let this thing play out. If Klay plays over his head in the second half of the season and something clicks and he commands a big number, the Warriors will be happy to pay it because that's what he deserves based on his play. If Klay continues to struggle, he's hot and cold, inconsistent, and the offers that he can attract around the league resemble that, the Warriors you know what? We will pay you that number because we want to keep you around. We want you to be a lifer. But I think they are past the point of we're just paying you for name recognition and what you've done in the past. I do think they're looking at this thing for hey, we will pay you market value. We're not overpaying you just because you're Klay Thompson. We're not going to try to disrespect you either. We're going to pay you what we feel you are worth and what the league feels like you are worth.
Jason Dumas at KRON is with us here on Willard and Dibs. Now, Jason, I'm going to do something we're not supposed to do in radio. But I need you to pick me up now, because what happens is we'll ask a two-part question, and then we only get an answer to the second part, and nobody can keep track. I'm going to ask you a two-part question, and I want you to answer both parts. The first one is on your tweet about Draymond, where you said he's been in both Southern California and the Bay Area. He's been working out. You've been told he's in a great headspace, back with the team after the weekend, and then a collaborative plan to resume playing. What do you think that plan looks like? And the second part is, what did Steve Kerr say about this in his pregame availability a short time ago?
Got you. That was easy. I got both questions.
I knew you could do it. I only asked you because I knew you could handle it, Jason.
So the first one, he'll get back with the team and he'll work with Rick Scalabrine and the Warriors medical staff, and they will do their evaluation on where they think his body is at, and they will dictate their ramp up and reintegration to the lineup based on their findings. That's the Warriors. They lean heavy on Rick, and this guy has done wonders for a lot of these players who have dealt with long-term injuries. So they're going to trust their brass, and, saying that you're working out, that could mean anything. Now, I don't know to what extent that means. Is he doing 2-a-days every single day? Is he on the treadmill and then getting up some shots? It could mean anything. So they're going to get him in the building, and they will evaluate him, and then they will come up with a plan that they think is safe for Draymond to get back on the court without injuring himself trying to get back too soon. And in terms of Steve Kerr, we just listened to his press conference right before I hopped on with you guys. He was still pretty coy. He didn't confirm or deny any reporting that's been out there from myself. I know Woj did some reporting. He essentially said, "I have no idea. We'll figure it out when he gets here, but I don't have any substantial answer now." And he made a comment in jest, I guess. He said something along the lines of, "Whoever been reporting it probably knows better than me." So I don't know. Don't quote me. He might not have said those exact words, but it was to that effect. And I don't know how to take that. I guess maybe that means I haven't really talked to Dre. Maybe he's talking to some other people. Who knows? But that's what Steve Kerr's reaction was to basically the Draymond reports when he was asked about it today.
Jason, great job. Great job.
Yeah, way to fight through that gnarly two-parter from Mark.
Hey, man, just trying.
I asked the tough questions around here, Jason, and you nailed it. So anyway, no, thanks. Thanks for coming on, man, and great work, truly.
All right, fellas, take care.
Thanks,
okay,
Jason.
There he goes. Jason Dumas with KRON right here on 95.7 The Game.